I have an important disclosure. I am not a coder. I'm not an engineer or a computer scientist. My passion for teaching girls how to computer program comes from my experience in politics. In 2010, I decided to run for Congress in New York City in a Democratic primary against an 18-year incumbent because I thought that that was a great idea. I had like a 1% chance of winning a 1,000-page policy book, but I swore I was going to win. And on election day, in my victory party that never happened, I was holding my father's hand, watching the television screen and seeing the returns come in, and that little ticker wasn't moving past 19%. I had lost. I was broke. I was humiliated. I had pissed off everybody in the Democratic establishment, and I had no contingency plan. But as I went to bed that night, the faces that I kept seeing over and over and over again were actually the ones that I had never seen on the campaign trail. Because you see, when you run for office, you go into a lot of schools. And I would go into their robotics labs and their computer science classes, and I'd see hundreds of boys clamoring to be the next Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg. And I thought to myself, where are the girls? And this question of where are the girls started as a question and later became my obsession. Because you see, it didn't make sense to me. At a time where women were the majority in college, the majority in the labor force, and almost the majority of breadwinners, where were we in the industry that was shaping our collective future? And as I dug in, I realized that we were once there, 32 years ago. In the 1980s, 37% of computer science graduates were women. Today, that number is less than 18%. If we were all to Google a picture of Steve Jobs' original Macintosh team, there were more women on it then than any startup team today. And look, I am a feminist with a capital F, but I do not care about gender parity for the sake of gender parity. My passion for this issue comes from being an American and as someone who wants to see our economy flourish. There are 600,000 jobs open right now in computing and tech, where you can make twice that of any private sector job. But to get one of those jobs, it's helpful if you majored in computer science. And to major in computer science, it's helpful if you took computer science in high school. The problem is only 1 out of 10 American high schools offers computer science. Only 20,000 kids took the APCS exam, 4,000 of them were girls. In 3 states, no girls took the APCS exam. I know there are girls in Mississippi. This issue matters to me as someone who cares about equity. Because you see, when I was that congressional candidate and I would visit schools and I'd go into schools in the wealthy district, they had that robotics labs. But other schools and Queensbridge public housing projects had one computer in a dusty basement somewhere that 500 kids had access to. And I wanted to make sure that all girls, including girls like me, the daughter of refugees, had access to the jobs of today and tomorrow. So in 2012, I decided to do something about it. And I started an organization called Girls Who Code. And in 2012, we taught 20 girls in one conference room at my friend's company at AppNexus. This year, we will reach 40,000 girls in all 50 states. Let me put that 40,000 number in context for you. Last year, only 10,000 women graduated in computer science. We've taught 40,000 how to code. We can close the gender gap in our lifetimes. And we can also close the equity gap. Because you see, the reason why I go to work every day is because in my classrooms, half of my girls are from families that are under the poverty line. And I'll see Favorly literally leave a homeless shelter in Harlem, go to an office at Barry Diller's office at IAC, learn how to computer program, and be sitting next to Lucy, who goes to one of the best private schools in New York City. And because they are so both disadvantaged when it comes to coding education, at the end of only 7 weeks, they're equally competitive to go get a job at Facebook. We can do this. It can happen. But 2 things need to change. The first thing is culture. From the 1980s till today, from Weird Science to Revenge of the Nerds to Silicon Valley on HBO, we've created this myth of a programmer, of like a dude in a hoodie sitting in a basement somewhere. He hasn't showered, he's drinking a Red Bull, right? Staring at a screen. And little girls look at him and say, I can't relate. Like, I not only want to be you, I don't want to be friends with you. Like, you cannot be what you cannot see. Secondly, we've created in our culture almost like a celebration of women and girls saying that they hate math. How many of you have ever either said, I hate math, or you know of a woman and girl who's ever said that? Raise your hand. Right? How many of you know of anybody who's ever said, I hate to read, I hate to write? None of you. From Forever 21 that has t-shirts that say I'm allergic to algebra, to the Barbie doll that says I hate math, to Mean Girls, which yes, I know I've watched like 5 times, right? Where she gets an A on exam and she crosses it out and says it's a D to get a boy to like her. We have created this culture of celebrating and telling girls to celebrate that they hate a skill that they absolutely need to survive in the 21st century. It doesn't make sense. Secondly, we have to teach our girls to get comfortable with imperfection. Because you see, coding, it's an endless process of trial and error, of trying to get the right command in the right place, with sometimes just a semicolon making the difference between success and failure. It requires perseverance. It requires imperfection. But we've taught our girls to smile pretty, play it safe, get all A's, don't get your dress too dirty. And we've taught our boys to play rough, swing high, crawl to the top of the monkey bars, and just jump off head first. And by the time we're adults, we as women, we're gravitating towards the careers that we know we're going to be good at, that we know we can be perfect in. And while men, they're taking risk after risk after risk, whether it's asking someone on a date or trying to raise money for a company. In other words, we're raising our girls to be perfect, and we're raising our boys to be brave. Every Girls Who Code teacher tells me the exact same story. During the first week, when our girls are first learning how to computer program, a student will call her teacher over, and she'll say, I don't know what code to write. The teacher will look at her screen, and she'll see a blank text editor. But if she presses undo a few times, she'll see that her student wrote code and then deleted it. Instead of showing the progress that she made, she'd rather show nothing at all. Perfection or bust. It turns out that our girls, they're really great at coding. And when we teach them how to code and we have a supportive network cheering them on, they will build incredible things. And I see this every day. Take, for instance, Cora, who was 5 years old when her daddy got diagnosed with cancer. And she decided at that moment, I want to be a doctor because I want to save my father's life. And she didn't know until Girls Who Code the connection between computer science and medicine. And at Girls Who Code, she built an algorithm to help detect whether a cancer is benign or malignant. She is 16 years old. Or Jasmine, who takes 2 buses and 2 trains every day from Oakland to Facebook to learn how to computer program. Her mother works at Burger King. She's got 4 brothers and sisters, single mom. She had never met anybody that was Latina and a computer scientist until Girls Who Code. And at Girls Who Code, she built an app called Wacky Words to teach other Latina girls in her community SAT words, because you know what? They didn't have fancy tutors and expensive classes. She had the courage to not build something for herself, but for other young girls in her community. Or Lucy and Maya, who showed me 2 weeks ago an app that they had built because of the injustice that they had seen in Flint, Michigan, and they wanted to do something about lead poisoning. They're in 7th grade. Everywhere I go, I see girls from every community building things, creating things that are going to make our world just a little bit better. We had a tough week last week. We've had a tough year. And I have faith that we are going to solve gun violence and try to find solutions to hate because of my girls, because they are going to build solutions to make our world better. I thought that my path through public service was going to be through Washington, D.C. And when I lost that congressional race, I thought I was done. I thought that my dream to serve on a national scale was over. And I never thought that I would have the opportunity to build a movement of young girl coders that are going to just make this world better. and I am so grateful for those lost elections. Thank you.